Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Would you please take your seats so we can get started?
The podium mic.
Can you hear me? Is this mic on? Doesn't sound like it, no. Okay, well, it'll be on. I'll try to talk loud. I'm not sure what the people at home hear. Okay, see if you can.
Test, test. Hey, Michael, is this on?
Okay. It's on? It says it's
I don't know
on.
how it works. There's a little green light that's blinking there.
Testing, testing.
It's okay. Testing. No. Yeah. Ask the sound people, should I use? You got to turn it on. Love your smile. I know what you're thinking. Just put it over there. Testing, testing. Yeah? Okay, good. All right. Good morning. Good morning, Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. Nice to see you here. I wondered how many people would come today with all the snow. I was thinking, well, we're getting ready to celebrate Christmas. No, we're not getting ready to celebrate Christmas. We're getting ready to celebrate Easter. And when is Passover? I was going to look. Does anybody know when? Has Passover come and gone? Or oh, okay. It's coming up. So we're getting ready for that too. And there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot going on this spring. So we're looking forward to it. Before we begin, just take a moment to turn off anything that might distract you from our time together, or to turn on anything that would help. So we're doing that here too. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, you can click on the icon for closed captioning. That will help you if you're having any trouble hearing our service for any reason at all. And it is now my pleasure to welcome Susan Clark to lead us in our opening song. Susan.
Good morning. I'm going to let you all just remain seated because it just feels that way in here this morning. Here we go. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. That's pretty much the whole song. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold different. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. Not back to the very beginning of the slide, but I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I will love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I will love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle. I will be gentle with myself. Can you sing with me? I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle. I am gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I rock myself. And I rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I hold myself. And I hold myself like a baby child. And I love myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
Thank you, Susan. That was so beautiful. Set a beautiful tone. And I love the line, I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me wants to go. That's a good thing to remember. Well, welcome again to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Marilyn O'Leary, and I am a registered licensed practitioner here. And I'm so grateful for each person joining us today, whether you're in the building with us, whether you're online. Together, we know we can transform the world with the power of love in action. We're grateful to the many staff and volunteers who are our Love in Action today. We have a tech team, we have greeters, food angels, the bookstore staff, and of course our musical inspiration, to name a few. And we also have licensed spiritual practitioners serving us today. Kathy Mathiasen and Carmela Herrera are holding service in consciousness and prayer. Chris Duval will be opening and closing our celebration with prayer. And I will be giving a reading this morning, too. So we will start today with our evocation by Chris.
And so I just take a quiet moment to settle myself into myself, to check in. How am I doing? What brought me here this morning? To be aware of Source and feel Source settling into my being. To all those places that may be a little worried or uneasy, those places that may have an appearance of something. Just allowing the love and the light of Source to penetrate all of those areas. Becoming aware of those who are sitting next to me, who are in the room, who are online with us. And seeing, feeling their connection to Source. Source alive and well within them. I'm so grateful for knowing this flow of connection, this flow of power, this presence that saturates us, and this sacred space. And knowing that we are met here, we are met with connection, with inspiration, with health and wellness, with compassion and mutual concern, knowing the value of the community and the value of our time together this morning. And so I'm just grateful to be here, to know the belongingness of myself and each one of us here, and to allow this morning to flow with ease and grace and light and love, knowing that it's good, and so it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Here at the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, we're anchored in the principles of science of mind and New Thought ageless wisdom. And what we teach can be distilled down to 4 basic concepts. The first is we believe that there is only one power in the universe that is known by many names. We believe that thought is creative. So we take care of what's in our mind and keep going back to the spiritual truth that there is only one power. We don't blame ourselves or beat ourselves up for the thoughts that don't serve us. We just replace them with thoughts that affirm our life. The third is that we believe that everything in our life is either an expression of love or a call for love. No exceptions. Sometimes calls for love can look a little clumsy and even well, there may be some thoughts and behaviors you want to let go of. There's not, and it's true. So we are grateful that each one of you has chosen to be part of today's celebration, in person and in line. This is. We also want to welcome those of you who are with us for the second time. Is there anybody here for the second time? Looks like people have been here more than that. That's because we know it's sometimes pretty hard to come back the second time. Anybody here for the first time? I don't think so. Nope. Okay. Well, bring somebody so we have first and second time people next time. If you are online and you can go to the chat and tell us if you're new, if this is the first time you've listened, or you can go to the website and help us connect with you. So this is what we want to say to anyone who may be online new, or to all of us here. So would you put your hands up and say this prayer to all of us with me? We invite you and ourselves to receive this as we bless ourselves. And this is why we're here. We see you. We know who you really are. You are a unique emanation of spirit. We love you. We appreciate you. And we thank God for you. Welcome to Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome. Welcome. So join me now, please, in reading our vision and mission statements. Well, not yet. There we go. Vision and mission. Our vision, transforming our world with the power of love in action. And our mission, loving all creation through spiritual growth and service, always staying true to our highest self. And now I have a reading today. And when I looked at what the talk was about self-love and issues with shame and worthiness, I thought, okay, the book I love about that is This Thing Called Life, or This Thing Called You. So this is from Ernest Holmes' This Thing Called Life, starting on page 20. Every man is some part of God, whether or not he knows or believes it. But we hypnotize ourselves into thinking that we are incomplete and imperfect. We identify ourselves with the fantastic pictures of our morbid dreams, but the ropes that bind us are ropes of sand. Let us cease to wonder what made the machinery get out of order and spend our time in the positive realization that there is a divine mechanic at the center of our being who can repair it. Having thoroughly cleansed our mental house, we must get a new tenant who knows how to live in it, one who knows that he is living in the house of God. He is in heaven now. He is a guest of the infinite. Let us keep it as simple as this. There is but one life, and we are using it. If you follow this method, the time will come when your problem of evil will be solved. You will see through it definitely and easily, simply and directly, and you will know that all forms of evil, that is, lack, unhappiness, fear, sickness, etc., are not things in themselves. They are merely effects of our misuse of the one life. There may be some who think that before they can accept this position, they must become profound philosophers, spiritual sages, or men of such deep scientific understanding that they stand apart from the rest of the world. This is not true. What the wisest have known is only a little more than what you and I know. They cannot answer your questions for you. You will have to answer them yourself. Even the best person who ever lived could not live for you. You will have to live for yourself. You do not have to borrow power from anyone. So now we will have some special music by Susan, and that will be followed by Reverend Tammi Lambert, who will give our talk today. Susan.
Thank you, Marilyn. I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Oh. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, yeah, that's what we've become. And I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Oh. This is me, oh, and I know that I deserve your love, oh, 'cause there's nothing I'm not worthy of, oh, 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 oh. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is proof, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. Oh, 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 this is me. Thank you. Challenge, Shimon King helping out this morning.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I did this right. Everyone can hear me? All right. Hi, everyone. Well, no approval needed. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take this from the beginning to the end, and then we're going to talk about process. Yes, I have on sparkles on my shoes. So the overall spiritual idea is that because we are whole, perfect, and complete, because we are spirits, are inherent pieces or expressions of divine itself, that we are inherently worthy, right? So we know that. Where do we come from? We're a chip off the old block. We are a piece of the creation. We are the expression of the divine, who we spirit, right? So we know that. And right. Today is it's really emphasized that we have come in these circumstances in uniqueness. We came into a package. One of the things you know is I'm this idea. And into this lifetime, we bring emotional body and our mental body. We kind of take it out and then we put it into a new circumstance, right? We're doing in a new way, and right? Okay. When we are facing the world, how we come into this lifetime sometimes we bring some baggage. And then often life around us tells us messages that we begin to accept at an early age. So in my case, I was given up for adoption at birth, and my adopted family, tried to have me understand that I wasn't raised in my Native American family because I was black, and there was a non-acceptance of black people, right? Now, I don't think they were being malicious in telling me that. I think that was their understanding at the time, right? But what did I do with that information, right? That there's something flawed with me. Right? And so what happens is that as we are children, as we come into this life, we have these experiences with shame. We have these experiences with shame that are not the actual truth about who we are, but it's our experience that feels like truth. It's our perception that feels like truth. And they say, studies have shown that people feel shame before they can feel guilt. That children feel shame as early as 18 months, right? And so shame is this idea that there is a social or a cultural norm to which you are supposed to fit in and you don't. Or there's some community norm that you have abridged. And some people say, well, shame is good because it helps us understand how we're going to stay, in the rails, in the guidelines of this lifetime. Well, that's not necessarily shame. I don't think that is shame. I think I told you the story about there was an attorney that had come into my office, and she had made a mistake on the document, and she was like, oh, that has an error on it, this is the correct one. And I said, okay, so I was looking it over, and there was a tribal official there, and she says, I can't believe an attorney would admit she made a mistake. She's like, I make mistakes all the time. And I'm like, we have a culture here, and our culture is own it and move on. Right? And she was like, yeah, we own it and move on, and it was done, right? It wasn't shame, it wasn't guilt, it wasn't avoidance, it wasn't all of this stuff. It was just own it and move on. So when we see that we have missed the mark, really our point is just to own it and move on. But in actuality, even though we know that inherently that there is no separation between us and the divine creator in us, we continue to have the experience in this body of our circumstances. And often we are dealing with shame. And often, we talk about approval. The question is, no approval is needed. Okay, so I'm going to say that is true. And I'm going to say that's not true. Ultimately, in the highest spiritual principle, why would you need approval if you are a co-creator with the divine? And then there's our experience. So when we experience rejection or failure of someone to approve or include us in community, the body and the brain reacts in the same way as it would to physical pain. These studies came out about 20 years ago, where when you experience rejection, what the brain does is it produces an opioid that has you be able to tolerate the pain. It's the same process of when you hurt yourself and your body releases that chemical to help you handle the physical pain. It's the exact same space right now for knowing that our brains are actually wired, that when we are subject to rejection, that our brains are actually having a biological and chemical response. The thing about that is that when we are experiencing that, we are in a state of stress, and the amygdala in our hippocampus in our brain is activated. Now, you've heard of fight, flight, or freeze, right? So when you are in a space of shame, and often that shame may come from rejection, what happens is that what happens in stress? Your heart rate increases, your immune system starts to shut down. your blood pressure, what goes on, these chemicals are going through your body, and you go into this fight, flight, or freeze, right? So what does flight look like? If you see children that are dealing with shaming, you'll see them shrink, or they may get a vacant look in their face, or they'll hide and try to become invisible. And as children, and many of us are, studies have said 60% of us have been subject to toxic shame as children just because we were unusual or different, or someone had a control issue. When you consider the places in our lives where we are hiding out, we are in an amygdala response of flight. Fight might be aggression against someone who caused you to feel shame. You want to fight back, you want to get back at them. What about freeze? What is freeze doing with shame? What freeze is doing with shame is that you actually start to believe that you don't have power to change that situation. You may be stuck in a relationship or in a job or in a habit, and you're in an amygdala response of being frozen and not being able to move. And this isn't just in the interim, this can be a lifestyle pattern, particularly if we're constantly being bombarded with rejection and shame. So the thing is showing, the science is also showing that when we are experiencing or in long-term or chronic shame, or even in the time of shame, we are actually having a reduction in our cognitive abilities. So our ability to use our logical brain decreases by 30%, and our IQ drops by 25%. It's similar like when you get angry and you say dumb stuff, right? Same thing. When we're in shame and we're in a shame cycle, and when we're facing rejection, we have a reduction in our ability to be flowing through with our best selves, right? Now, the question is approval needed? So, of course, I'm always asking myself the questions, and I'm always researching, and I think that if you were to consider this, is approval needed? I would have to say yes. If you think about it, we're very social creatures. And this is actually not just a psychological conversation, it's also an evolutionary conversation, right? So you can imagine us as we are evolving as human beings, the more complex society gets, the more we need each other, right? So the more we need each other, we are able to get together to problem solve, to create complex solutions. No one's an island, right? Where did you get food from? Where did you get, who has a phone? How did you get here in the car? Who built the car? Where'd the oil come from? Where'd the gas come from? It's a very complex society, and approval in our brains is connected with survival. So when we are facing someone's non-approval, what happens is the amygdala that has to do with our survival gets activated, and it starts wanting to send all these chemicals through our body. Now, they've actually done studies with fMRI, which is medical imaging of what goes on with the brain. And they were looking at how do they know that we feel actual pain when we are dealing with rejection. And so the experiment was to have people in a room and have them playing, like, you ever played catch? No. And so you're playing catch, and then you're included in a group and everyone's throwing to each other. And then they stop throwing to you. Now, I've had this experience as a child where everyone's playing and then all of a sudden I'm excluded. And what that does is it brings up this feeling of rejection, right? And the body does something with that rejection. Okay, so they started doing those studies a while back. Now they're starting to refine the studies. And you know what they're using for those studies? WhatsApp. Of when somebody is engaging with people in social media and they're not including them. And so one of the things we learned during this COVID pandemic is how important it is to be connected. And also what's become noticeable is how we become susceptible to snubs. Like if someone didn't accept my friend request, or I'm liking someone's post all the time and they're not responding to me. And these little micro snubs, actually, it's on us on whether we take them personal or not. But actually, people might be busy. I mean, I know me, sometimes I'll put down Facebook for a while and I'll pick it up and I have 77 things because I just haven't been paying attention to it. But people might perceive that as a snub, right? And so we never know what's going on with people. So it's really important for us to kind of look at that not taking things personal kind of spiritual principle, if you look at the 4 agreements kind of thing. But what I'm saying is that what happens is that our bodies are wired in a particular way to respond to shame, to respond to what feels like a personal attack, to respond to what's going on in the world around us. So what can we do in that situation? Well, I'm going to use myself as a negative example. I've told you that that I grew up with a lot of conversations about not being accepted, right? And so I think there was a dysfunctional part of me that just accepted that as part of the landscape. And so when my daughter was born, and when she was born into that environment, my response was, buck up, buttercup, right? I didn't have those exact words then, but that was it, right? So, and I've talked to you before about how I saw this illustration in Oprah magazine of the black woman, and she has her little daughter there, and she has her in a little, she's like in a little night suit, and we're putting the armor on her, and it's like, and my messages to this child was, you're a black woman, child. It's not like you're just a child, so deal with it. Right? And I was armed with all this stuff. I had gone to Landmark, and I was like, you are not defined by what other people tell you you are. Whatever people are doing is their problem. You just deal with it. You know yourself. I read Course in Miracles. I read all this other stuff, and I'm telling her, yes, we're in this negative, hostile, toxic situation, but this has nothing to do with you. That's about them. And in my opinion, telling her that was enough. It was not. It was not. And it wasn't until I have become older. There's nothing like being the adult parent, the parent of an adult child, to look back and wish you'd done things differently. The buck up, buttercup was a reflection of my inability to nurture myself. I couldn't be kind to myself because I had to be the salmon swimming upstream. I couldn't allow myself to be hurt by people. I just had to brave through it and march on. And the impact of that is chronic anxiety, PTSD, fatigue. It actually can shorten your life. Now, just because I know that all those things are true doesn't mean that I bypass the reality of what is happening in my physical body and in my physical brain when I am subject to rejection, when I am around people who want me to feel shame. And nurturing that beloved one within me has been my new learning curve. That it's not just about being strong and tempering and weathering all kind of weather. It's not about putting myself in hostile situations with toxic people. It's not about staying in jobs where I'm burned out and unappreciated. It's about learning that there are people who are not evolved enough to understand that their hurt directed at me has an impact. And so I don't have to be a victim, but I can acknowledge it. And I think that's something you hear me say almost every time I get up here, is you can't heal what you can't acknowledge. You cannot heal what you cannot acknowledge. And I acknowledge that there are people in the world who are embracing a fundamental philosophy that excludes those of us who may be different from their ideal. And that is their reality. But I have never been unworthy, and neither have you. I have never been unloved, and neither have you. So how do we deal with these things as we go through this thing called life in a way that empowers us? So researchers on the brain back in the 60s used to say that the adult brain, by the time you become an adult, you're pretty much set. You're set in your ways, can't teach an old dog new tricks. I remember when I was an art major, and I had been so suppressed by norms as a child, wanting to fit in, that I suppressed my creativity. I think I've shared with you before about how I had, when people would draw, they would have like a form of how you would draw a woman, and it was like a dress, and you would decorate the dress. And everybody in my class was drawing women with this big, 1860s dress. And I remember looking at that like, that's not what a person looks like to me. And having this conflict, like, that's not what that looks like. We don't wear, like, what? And so it was really not until I got to high school, where I was taking a fashion design class, where I started like actually looking at how the body was done. And then it wasn't until I was in my 20s when I took a art class and realized and got in touch with what my eyes saw and what I put on the paper, right? And I was like, I want to be an artist. And someone told me, it was one of my counselors, that said, oh, that's really nice, but you miss the developmental part of your brain where you can become an artist. I saw that. And I was like, oh, and so of course, I thought that was true, right? And so struggled with creativity because I was told by an expert that I missed that window of opportunity. Okay. But the reality is new science has shown that there's such a thing called neuroplasticity in our brains, and that we are constantly developing, and that we are creating new experiences, and that we can actually change our brains with mindfulness. I actually picked up this book this week from Julia Cameron, the Artist's Way artist, who has a book about how to rediscover your creativity in your middle age or something. And I was like, of course, she started out with, do your morning pages. And I'm like, I have to keep journaling. The point is that neuroplasticity means that we actually shift the way that our brains are, that we can heal our brains, that we can shift all of these things with mindfulness. So I'm going to give you an idea about that, and I'm going to give you a story about that. So as you know, I work as a judge for a tribe, and because it's so small, I have a lot of contact with a lot of law enforcement. So I'm having a conversation with, I usually talk with, the command staff. And so I'm in the office with command staff, and the chief, they like to unnerve me, and they like to say things that they think is funny to watch for my reaction. Well, I know they do this, right? So they'll do things that cops are trained to do to get your amygdala going, and they'll say things in a certain way, and it may sound threatening or, it's what they're trained to do, right? Well, I know that. So I'm sitting there, and I'm actually sitting there like this with my arm in the chair, and the chief is like hurling stuff at me. And I watch myself often because as a judge, I can't be on the bench being reactive. So I tend to be self-aware because I have to all the time. So I'm watching him hurl stuff at me, and I'm a little bit clairvoyant so I can see it, the energy of it. And I'm watching it like I'm watching a movie. And I see him doing it. I see the energy he's hurling at me, and I'm just watching it, right? And he goes, oh, come on, Judge. I got no reaction from that. He was like, you were just sitting there like, whatever, Chief, right? Why is that? Back before I started working on self-awareness and mindfulness, I might have allowed myself to be a victim of whatever he was hurling. Now, he had no malintent. They just think it's funny to watch. He said, you didn't even change your body posture. He was like, you didn't get a defensive mode. You didn't get aggressive. You didn't get protective. He was like, you were like, yeah, whatever, Chief, right? Why is that? Because as we start to, even though have this background of toxic shame and abuse and complex post-traumatic stress disorder and all this other stuff, when we engage in the mindfulness, we start to realize that part of us is really the true part of us, and it becomes not just a knowing, but a being. So even though we stand up here from the beginning of this talk and say, we're perfect, whole, and complete, all is well, blah, 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 you see how there's a process of getting there. There's our experience of acknowledging the impact of living in a world that can be hostile, of living in a world that might not appreciate how amazing you are, or how self-expressed, or how artistic, or how just like totally cool. And then they want to take you down a little bit, right? I remember when I was a child, I had someone I dearly, dearly loved up here, and she was always really mean. And I thought I had her on a pedestal, and she told me in her adult life the reason why she was like that was because she was jealous, whereas I idolized her, right? And so I made out that I wasn't worthy of her love, when in actuality she was jealous of me, right? And that was a profound lesson for me, that often people don't like you because they choose not to like you because there's something going on with them, which is the thing I told my daughter when she was younger. But on the journey to that, let's be gentle with ourselves. You know, the song that we sang about, just nurturing and loving ourselves, beautiful, beautiful. And at the end, we get to that triumphant moment where we're like, this is me. This is divine creator expressing as me. God is so uniquely interesting to show up this way. Right? So we get to the point where no approval is needed. We get to that point. And when we're in that space of knowing, that full acceptance, of self-awareness, of retraining our brains, of engaging in our spiritual practices, of not just knowing, but knowing that we know who we really are, we're in a space of being able to really say, I don't need the approval of others. But we also know that as we love ourselves, we put out the vibrational frequency to draw to us people that love us that way too. And we start to surround ourselves with a community, because community is so important. We surround ourselves with a community that adores us, that loves us unconditionally, that nurtures us like we nurture ourselves. And that's my holding of the vision here at Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm grateful to be here with all of you. Let's do our prayer time. Let's have the practitioners surround the room. And let's just ground this in. Just taking that deep breath into this knowing. And we just know that we live in these bodies with all of its miraculousness, with all the challenges that it brings, with all the rewards that it is. We just notice that we are sitting in these bodies. And as we sit here, stand here, we are breathing in light. We breathe in the light, the life of the universe. We breathe in this light that we know is filled with information. Everything I need to know, I am breathing in and breathing out. In this moment, in this time, in this space, being one with each other, being one with God and one with all. And we are just pillars of this light. And any blocks, any energy thought forms, any beliefs that we have that will be otherwise, we just allow it to pass through us and allow it to be surrounded in these wonderful experience of beautiful white light. We just allow our brains to rewire itself so that it is telling our bodies the right messages, and the messages is that we are filled with joy. The messages are that we are loved. The message is that we are unconditionally worthy, and that we build light and life and joy and acceptance and community, connection all around us. And we are even now engaged in a beautiful web, a beautiful connection of light, where there is only love. And we just open our hearts, we open our throats, we open our crown, and we accept and we express this light and love, the truth of our inherent divine spirit, our inherent worthiness, our inherent perfection. And as we know this, we just allow that to ripple out. We ripple out that unconditional love and acceptance to each other. We accept it and we pass it on to this town, to the city, to the state, to this country, to the entire globe. And we allow the entire world to be covered in this white light of beautiful heart love, of unconditional love and acceptance. We cover the entire globe, the entire planet, the cosmos, with this, knowing that that is all there is, and that what we are experiencing and creating is something that we are inherently imbued with and who we are. So we just breathe in this, knowing we are sitting in this divine space. And as we give, we receive. As we give, we receive. And as we give love to the whole world, we accept the love of the whole world right back. And accept this healing, accept this wholeness, accept this perfection with so much gratitude. Blessing this center, blessing our neighbor, blessing each of us. And with our whole heart, we say, and so it is. Ashe, Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Tammi. I always get so much out of your talks, and very personal to me, so thank you very much. That was great. So we now come to the time where we are able to express our abundance, express our thanks, our gratitude to this center, to all that we have, all that we are given. And the thought I have about expressing abundance is we express abundance by giving, and I think you said something about that, Tammi. It's not really by getting, but by giving that we really feel. That's how I feel abundant. When I can give, I feel really abundant, and it's wonderful. So I urge you all to feel as abundant as you possibly can this morning by giving. So we are going to now have our prayer for abundance, and if you're online with us, you can look at what's scrolling across the screen and see how easy it is to give online. You can also give online that way if you're here. And if you are in person, you can approach the podium and put your offering in the baskets there, and you can share that. So we'll do our giving affirmation, and then we'll have another song from Susan. So please say that giving affirmation with me. I am abundant, and I give from my abundance. I am prosperous, and I give from my prosperity. I am blessed, and I give from my blessings. My blessings of spirit are as abundant as the stars, and so I give and receive generously, and so it is.
People try to tell me who I'm supposed to be, but now I know the truth, and that truth has set me free. The media tries to tell me how to act and how to feel, what to say each and every day. But I have a secret I've known since birth. I'm whole and I'm complete, and I know what I'm worth. They can tell me I'm lazy, tell me I'm fat. I can give them the power, but I know better than that. I am a child of the love here on this earth. I am whole and I'm complete, and I know what I'm worth. Know what I'm worth when push comes to shove. I know what I'm worth. I am a beacon of love. I know what I'm worth. I'm an angel of light, shining, shining, shining so bright. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. I would compare myself to everyone I see. I didn't know the power in me, but when I need a shot of self-worth, I say I'm whole and I'm complete, and I know what I'm worth. Yeah. I say no to anyone who tries to judge me. I say yes to my own divinity. This new way of being feels like a rebirth. I'm whole and I'm complete, and I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm worth when push comes to shove. I know what I'm worth. I am a beacon of love. I know what I'm worth. I'm an angel of light, shining, shining, shining so bright. I'm worthy. I know that I am. I'm worthy. I say it every day. I'm worthy. Yeah, 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 yeah. Worthy. Worthy. I'm worthy. I know what I'm worth, I know what I'm worth, I know it, know it, know it. I know what I'm worth, I know what I'm worth, I know it, know it, know it. I know what I'm worth, I know what I'm worth, I know it, know it, know it. I know what I'm worth, I know what I'm worth. I know all that I'm worth, all that I'm worth, all that I'm worth is right here in this body that God gave me. There's no reason to be ashamed. Pull me down, pull me down. I'm worthy, and so are you. I'm worthy. I know. Whoa. Thank you, Shimon and John.
Thank you, Susan. Wonderful. So please help me bless these offerings. Thank you, dear Divine Spirit of Abundance, for all of your gifts. We are grateful that we are provided with all of our ministry needs and more. We're so thankful for the abundance of the universe, for our good health, for our families, for our friends, for this wonderful congregation. and especially for our opportunity here to express our love and appreciation to each other. And we allow ourselves to appreciate the abundance and prosperity that comes to our center and that comes to us individually. Each giver and gift are blessed and valued, and we now declare that each person's peacefulness, joy, and abundance and success are increased 100-fold. So please join me by anchoring this prayer with, and so it is. Amen. For celebration, our little setup here. We changed that this morning so that people have told the practitioners that they can't hear well, they need a little more privacy. So we have set it up so hopefully you can hear people better when you're getting the prayer, and you have the privacy that you need. So please come over. We'll have our practitioners, people in stoles who are there, who will be very happy to give you a mini treatment. And as it says here, it's painless. It's better than painless. It's wonderful. And remember, it can also be for something joyful that's taking place in your life that you're grateful for. You can also use the prayer request box at the back table. And the forms are right there beside the box. Fill those in. We take them, we send them out to all the practitioners, and they pray for them all week. And if you're online, go to the website at Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living.org and click on prayer request at the top of the screen. Our prayer practitioners are delighted to support your prayer requests throughout the week. And can I talk about Miguel? I would like to ask you all for prayer for Miguel, for all the people in our community who need prayer this week, but also for our little dear Miguel who is having some oral surgery. So please remember him in your prayers this week, and that it all goes perfectly, the doctors are divinely guided, and that everything comes out as perfect as we know that it will. Keep that in your prayers. All right, let's see where we are. We have a few more things. We have, I think, no other special announcements except all of our regular announcements. So we're so happy that we've been able to celebrate together today. Thank you so much for all that you've brought to us. And don't forget, come to the prayer garden, and we will have our announcements followed by our benediction and our closing song. And please remember to go to the social hall to participate in whatever delightful things are there. And now we have Dr. Norm Dawson. Here he is. Yay, with announcements.
Oh, hear me? Good evening. Delay, but okay. Thank you, Susan. Boy, you know, I noticed that whenever we have a benediction or an invocation, she has a nice little thing to go along with it. It kind of adds to the tone. You ever notice that? Yeah. Thank you so much. And Tammy, that was just a great message. Again, I just love the way you combine the spirituality and the science together. That's just amazing how you do that. So that's really good. And what I got from today was, you know, I spend a lot of money going to Costco and gas station, grocery stores, and I've been getting approval from every one of those places. Whenever I put my credit card in, it says, "You've been approved." Whoa! So I don't have to do that anymore. Okay. Let's get down to seriousness now. A couple of changes that have been announced by the board is that Annette Martinez is stepping down as the tech director. She's been doing this thing for years, and she's made sure that every single Sunday we have hybrid, and it's online, and she has made sure that we've had musical people up here, and I mean, she's just devoted a lot of time. Now, we're going to have a special celebration for her later on, so I don't want to take a lot of time, because I could take a lot of time, but not today. But thank you, Annette, so much for being who you are, and she'll be stepping down at the end of the month, which is just a couple of days away. And to replace her interim, like for the time being, is Hannah Dawson. Now, I don't know if you know she's my daughter, but she is. And the interim webmaster is going to be Nancy Bowers. Nancy's over there. You'll be hearing more about these things as time goes on, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that today. The workshops for exuberant aging are still happening. There's going to be one on April 21st. April 21st. And that's going to be about listening and hearing. Now, there is a difference. Did you know that? And I'm going to be talking a little bit about hearing loss and dementia. Real quickly here, you can find out more about this, but hearing loss is the highest modifiable risk factor for developing dementia. And did you know that if you do something about that, you can restore the cognition and the function? So you find out all about that at the event. And then Marilyn will be talking about listening also at that time. And then the last one is Keep Moving, Physical Movement and Exuberant Aging by Carol Helms. That's $40 a pop. There's only 2 of those left. One in April and one in May.
The April one is April 15th.
April 15th, you're right, it is. I've got so many seminars that I'm doing that I get the dates mixed up. April 15th, that's the day before tax day. Okay. Sue and Sherry are, I guess they're not here this morning. Sue and Sherry, they're requesting that you reach out and come up with some ideas for workshops and classes and discussions and things like that. So they are looking for your input. So get a hold of them and let them know what kind of things you'd like to have. Compassion Ministries this week is how to start healthy boundaries and build positive relationships. There's 3 steps in the newsletter. You can look at that in the newsletter, and there's some really simple, easy steps in the link. So you go online and get that information there. The bookstore update, the book sale update is, you'll notice that back room has been cleared out and a lot of the books have been put on the table there. It's still going on, and we're going to finish up those books there. And then they've taken some of the other books and they're going to redo this again in about 6 months, but they've given a lot of books to the libraries and also to the bookstore. So be sure you fill up your bag. It's $5 for a little bag and $10 for the next big bag, and $20 or more. You can donate as much as you want, as big a bag as you want. But anyway, that's the scale. That's the life. And I saw a really good book there. If you haven't read it, you need to get it. It's called The Law of Attraction. That's one of my go-to books. So it's still there. Somebody already got Illusions, which was my other book. That's all for the bookstores. Okay, now don't forget, in the community room after the service, coffee and food. We have a lot of people bringing their special dishes. Last week we had somebody brought a crock pot with meat and tomatoes and beans, and somebody else had a stew with beans. Part of it was on the floorboard, but the rest of it we ate. And we have today, we also had broccoli and cheese, and today I've noticed we've got a crock pot with meatballs and another crock pot with macaroni and meatballs in it. So you don't have to bring anything to go back there and eat, but if you do bring things, we always appreciate it, and we always appreciate the people who stick around afterwards and eat and help clean up. So we thank you all for that. Okay, there will be a benediction right after I finish. So that's all from me, live from Mexico, New Mexico, Sunday morning announcements.
Well, I'm just so grateful for this very special and precious place where we can acknowledge the actuality of what we're experiencing in this life without judgment. We can go through it and we can apply our spiritual understanding to it. And I'm grateful that we can just be so frank and open about who we are and what we need, and share the love and see each other as the beloved. So I'm grateful for this time, which elevated that truth and that understanding, gave us some more tools to use. And so I release this time that we've shared together, knowing that it is good, knowing that it went deep with us, and knowing that it's going to have a powerful impact on our environments and our world. So thank you, God. And so it is.
Thank you, Chris. All right, let's stand for the benediction. It's going to be our last Sunday to do this song as our closing song, and we'll move on to something else next month. But in the meantime, here we go. I will meet you with my heart, heart to heart. Let us meet, and then may we become more of who we are, more of who we are. I will touch you with my soul, soul to soul. Let us touch again, and then may we become more of who we are, more of who we are. I will meet you silently, breath to breath. Let us breathe as one, and then may we become more of who we are, more of who we are. I will touch you with my heart, heart to heart. Let us touch again, and then may we become more of who we are, more of who we are, more of who we are, more of who we are. Thank you. Happy Sunday.